So our project services network is our cloud. It's a private cloud, and we're starting to actually see public cloud applications show up in our environment. So I can tell you today that we were what you would call a hybrid cloud enterprise. The private and the public cloud enable quite a bit of project execution on a global basis. Most of the applications that we're finding on the public cloud today is really around collaboration, social, and certain IT tools. I think over the next 3 to 5 years, you'll actually start to see more and more enterprise applications move out into the public cloud environment. It's all about speed, it's all about time to delivery, it's all about getting projects stood up fast, and it's also about demobilizing fast. The cloud really facilitates that for us. So, cloud's built, we have our information delivery in place, and now it's all about focusing in on getting the right information to the right people at the right time in the right location. And we're able to do that with this robust private and public cloud ecosystem, with our portfolio of APIs and SaaS services. And we really believe that this open API environment is the secret sauce that's going to make this take off. Mobility, cloud, and APIs will be a game changer for Bechtel. It's already shown how we can get information and information workers out of offices and out of trailers and onto the job site. We're already starting to see how new work processes are actually starting to emerge because folks now can do their compute work, their information retrievals, in the field, on smartphones, on tablets. They don't have to be tethered to their desk, and that's really where the rubber hits the road for a company like Bechtel. So, some parting thoughts. There is no perfect cloud. It's not about building your own. It's not about buying yours or augmenting what you already have. Each company will have their own recipe for what the cloud means to them. The cloud is not a flip the switch model. You can not just turn it on and turn it off. It's a journey. It takes years to implement and years to acclimate your enterprise to what the cloud means to them. You have to do what makes sense for your business. And again, I'll remind you that the biggest barrier to success in any cloud implementation will be people and process and not technology. I'd like to thank you for your time this morning.
We're moving all of our data into the cloud, moving all of our infrastructure usage into the cloud, which brought us significant benefits immediately.
We can go from having 0 computers on our render farm to having 400 or 500 8-core machines within literally 10 minutes.
Anybody looking to leave the building industry is going to need to take advantage of these huge gains in access and power if they want to move their projects forward.
For our engineers to be able to go out on site and to get the customers to actually sign off the project there and then using Tablet, it's a really powerful tool for your business, and it moves lots of processes forward for us a lot quicker than the old ways.
What using the cloud allows us to do is kind of become a big studio, and
it's really been a big game changer for our ability to operate as a business and be competitive in a very changing marketplace.
So I want to quickly summarize a couple of things that Scott said. First off, Bechtel is a $32 billion company that thinks the cloud is real. So I think that's pretty much showing that the cloud is real for enterprises. He also talked about how there was an edict to move people from the trailer to the field. Now, I don't think that was an arbitrary edict. It probably is related to staying competitive in a market that's under increasing pressure and where the cloud brings a real advantage that lets people do things they haven't done before. And the last thing I want to kind of summarize that he said, your biggest barrier isn't technology, it's people and processes. And I think a lot of you have experienced that and understand what that means. Now, our next topic is something that was really an active discussion last AU. It's still an active discussion this AU, and I hear it a lot from lots of customers, and this is around security. Now, we have a great speaker on this topic because the specter of a mass cyber attack is one of the most urgent and common concerns facing the nation's information technology infrastructure today, an issue that today's speaker, Teresa Payton, understands better than anyone. Payton is one of America's most respected authorities on internet security, net crime, fraud migration, and technology implementation. As White House Chief Information Officer from 2006 to 2008, the first woman to ever hold that position, she administered the information technology enterprise for the president and 3,000 staff members. Prior to working in federal government, Payton held executive roles in banking technology at Bank of America and Wells Fargo, as founder of Fortaleza LLC, a security risk and fraud consulting company. She now lends her expertise to organizations large and small, helping them improve their information technology systems against emerging amorphous cyber threats. Please join me in welcoming Teresa Payton.
Good morning. So I think it takes a lot of guts for a vendor company to bring a security person in to talk about security in the cloud, don't you? I was pretty impressed when Autodesk asked me to do this because they weren't asking me to endorse them or to try and convince you that going to the cloud is the silver bullet you've been waiting for security. They want to have an open and honest dialogue with you about how to be more secure in the cloud. So as you embrace the cloud, how to have an open and honest dialogue about this. So I was pretty impressed because I can tend to be a little bit of a Debbie Downer when it comes to a cloud security or any kind of vendor security discussion. So thanks for having me here. We had a visual poll earlier through texting, and I'd like to do one more visual poll. And for this poll, I'd like everybody to just go ahead and stand up. Doesn't that feel good to stand up? Okay, drop and give me 50. No, I'm kidding. But I might ask for that later. What I'd like to do is, for those of you who have embraced the cloud, and I'm going to define that as 50% or more of your enterprise applications are now either in a private, public, or hybrid cloud, you get to sit down. Okay, take a look around. Okay, so for the rest of you standing, for those of you who have sort of slowly started to embrace the cloud, maybe you have roughly 10 or more enterprise applications are now either in a public, private, or hybrid cloud, you can sit down. Okay, so take a look around again. And so the rest of you standing, what are you waiting for? No, I'm kidding. No, and so for the rest of you standing, for those of you still standing, if you have a 12 to 18-month strategy to move at least one more feature or one feature to the cloud, you can go ahead and sit down. So this is where your benchmark, your peer group is, and the rest of you don't have to stand for the rest of the presentation. You can sit down too. Okay, so so I got the talking points just so you guys know. I'd like to walk and talk off stage, even though I'm clearly vertically height challenged. And I will be doing that because it's important for me to make sure that the message is resonating. We have about 30 minutes together, but I don't want the conversation to end here. I'm around the whole rest of the day. I think there's a lunch, and I think sometimes eating's overrated, so I'm happy to talk to whoever wants to eat, talk during lunch. I'm happy to do that, or catch me on any of the breaks. I also have my contact information at the end so we can keep the dialogue going. But I want to talk to you a little bit. I'm going to go, Mr. Camera, I'm going to go off stage here because I got to make sure that the message is getting around, and I got to make sure that I hit all the burning issues. Because I don't know about you, but by the time you get done here, you're going to have had a lot of great conversations and a lot of great ideas, and you're going to go back to the office and have, I don't know, 500 emails? How many meetings are you going to have? And you're going to have a hard time remembering everything we talked about while you were here. And so I want to make sure, if there's a burning issue, I've got prepared remarks, but if there's a burning issue, you want to make sure I cover